Yo, what's up, everyone? We have another fantastic conversation today with a friend of mine, Nav. Nav and I met, believe it or not, through LinkedIn. We share in a lot of the same passions about customer experience and being a true practitioner. Nav is not just one of those quote unquote thought leaders that just talk about CX. He lives it every single day at Hitachi. So I'm looking forward to today's conversation. Nav, you're in the hot seat. Welcome to the Unfucking Your CX podcast.
Thank you, Zach. Thank you for the opportunity. Hey, everybody, and let's talk about customer experience and weird things about it.
Yeah, look, the last time you and I had this conversation, you and I were just talking about digital customer experience, just in general.
hmm
I'm really curious as you continue to optimize the entire digital experience, just over the last 1 or 2 years, like what are some specific things that have just drastically changed?
Speed, I would say, speed and the volume of touch points. People are less patient now. Uh, Customers they want everything quickly and they want everything accurate. No patience to really accommodate any margin of errors. So we have to be very accurate on whatever we are doing, uh, and from the customer experience perspective, like one of the key thing, I I suggest like showing right content to the right people at the right time. That's very important these days because doing research is very easy. Even if we want to buy like a used car or a multi-million dollar property, research is like at your hand right now. You ask ChatGPT a couple questions, you have analysis websites, and you get like a lot of information together. Decision making is much faster, much easier. So accuracy of data to the right people at the right time is very important.
Yeah,
So that's what I understand like from digital experience have changed lately.
yeah, and look, I think it's just going to continue to change, right? I mean, if you think about who was I listening? I was just listening to um, a podcast. I can't remember what it was, but they were talking about it's almost like we're at the death of SEO now because of all these GPTs and AI places are now just working in search, right? And so now it's like how, and I don't know the accurate term for it, maybe you do, but it's like now how do you essentially get placed into LLM models as a brand because of him just pulling in, the different results through like the search functionality on Chat GPT, for example. So it's really interesting how things are shifting to your point very, very quickly.
In context search was there for a while already. So Google introduced that concept like many years ago. So it's just that like ChatGPT have changed the way people use it. Search engine optimization will not die actually because everything, even LLM, will rely on the content and relevancy and the context to show those results. It's just that the front end experience has changed and it's more dynamic, it's more vast and faster. Before ChatGPT, how searches work, like you give question to the search engine, it gives you list of links. And you typically go for like first two, three links and then give another context to search, right? So what ChatGPT is doing, it's summarizing the top results and giving you some ready to consume information. That's the way it's changed, but from where ChatGPT will consume that content, it's still based on keywords, based on relevancy of the search, based on the targeted audience, and where are you coming from, based a lot of data into the picture right now. So,
That sorry, that just makes sense. It was interesting. Maybe that was just a hot take then, of course, of like a headline of the death of SEO. Of course, a lot of us like to make hot takes, but I mean, it's so interesting when you think about speed. I mean, I was just thinking back. I think one of you and I were having this conversation as we were kind of coming out of the pandemic,
yes.
and you and I were talking about one of the things that we learned was speed, right? Because for a period of time, everyone was forced into the digital channels. And so they had to adapt. We had to adapt as consumers. And so we were shopping brands, different brands, and exploring different brands at rapid pace. But I think now it's just become such a habit, to your point, and such an expectation that It's almost like the baseline foundation of experience now.
Correct. That's right. So, like, if we go back pre-pandemic condition, like we were focusing on digital transformation, but transformation is no more a new thing for anybody. It depends like how mature the companies are, how mature even processes are, even people, how mature we are on the digital interface, right? So it's about digital maturity, how to use all these things that are available for us, for businesses. So that's where I think we should also divert a little bit of our focus. Like everything is already transformation. It's done. Transformation is done. Now it's about maturity.
Yeah, but I also think like I totally get it. I agree with you. Like the whole and this could just be a topic we unfuck itself, right? But it's like I don't truly believe in digital transformation because, quite frankly, to your point, it could just be we're moving to maturation. But there's always a new iteration. There's always something that we have to improve. Like you will never completely transform because consumer expectations will change.
Yeah,
And so it's like I think transformation gives this false sense of reality of okay, we did it. Now we don't need to focus on it anymore. And to your point, like it leads into maturation, right? Another, just like another stepping stone in your overall maturity. But I think some brands look at it as, oh, we're done. Now let's go on to something else.
that's right. Because customer experience, even customer experience, digital transformation, these are not projects. These are not like one time done and then move forward. These are like, it should be like in the bloodstream of business. It's always moving. It's always needs to grow, evolve, adapt. So yeah, I mean, the example you mentioned, Zach, I think that's about like people who are considering customer experience. Okay, implement it and then move on to the next project. No, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, spot on. Well, I know, Nav, you didn't come on to unfuck digital transformation. So,
No problem.
really curious, just tell our viewers what is the topic that you want to unfuck today, and then tell us why.
Okay, so as to the structure of your conversation, the three playbooks. So I have a mantra. I follow this for many, many years. I realized, based on my experience and how to survive in the digital world, I rely on three keywords: think holistic, think economics, and think fast. And I keep it in the center of whatever I do. Okay, even like not in professional, but also in the personal life. Like there is always bigger aspect. Talking about customer experience here, I would say like what I mean. I'm kind of upset. Customer experience term is being confused with customer service or customer support at times. So customer experience starts with brand perception. According according to my understanding, I say that like customer experience starts even if business or people are not even your customers, not even in your prospects. Like you drive by the highway and there is a billboard sign with some advertisement. That's where customer experience starts already, right? Another way, like you and I know for a couple of years, how you talk to me ever with somebody at a conference, with somebody in your friend circle, like, okay, hey, I know Nav, and he's the guy who does that, talk about like this, and that he has this knowledge. That's the perception. It's my branding with you, even we are not doing any business, but still you have an impression about me. That's what customer experience I would say is think holistic. Like even if because customer doesn't see you as different teams in the organization. They don't care how what your organization chart looks like. They don't really care like how many layers and how many processes or what systems do you have in the back end. Like they care like, okay, I want to buy a product, get me that, and give me a good support, so I'm happy, right?
Yeah,
So
it's so spot on. Like, I love what you're saying about kind of just even overall brand. Like, I know I hated this when I got told the perception is reality. And I used to hate that, right? But ultimately, at the end of the day, it is so true. What my perception is as you as a brand, that is my reality. And you can as a brand try to change that, right? You can give me incentives and you can try and buy my loyalty and you can try and close the loop. But ultimately, at the end of the day, however I perceive you, that's my reality, and that's the way I'm going to talk about you specifically as a brand, right? So I love that one. Player tip number two, go a little bit deeper on that one.
Sure. Yeah. So to the deeper level, I would say like it is also to consider all the passive touch points. So we say like let's have a customer journey, map all touch points, and then create some processes and rule book or playbooks on that on those. My second rule to suggest is think economics. What does that mean? You just give me an example of loyalty rewards and all those. And you sometimes also give Starbucks example of how their reward system work, and I like that. I am a Starbucks fan too until I am. I have other options. So that's the thing here. That's my second point is think economics. That people sometimes customers sometimes stay with you because there are no other options,
Yeah.
right? So just having, and you also talk about NPS a lot, and I like that too. Like having a high NPS or a low churn doesn't really mean you have a good experience in place. Okay, it doesn't really align similarly or in correlation to the outcome of the business, right? At times it's been seen like as soon as there are new players in the market, as soon as there are new reward system in the market, or there are good competition, customers move on. So loyalty is really regardless of your price tag, regardless of your like Apple, for example. I'm a big Apple fan. I'm a loyal customer to the Apple. I mean, regard even if their phones are almost same for last 4 or 5 years, but I upgrade every year,
Wow.
right?
I
So
wouldn't
that
say,
means
yeah. You're the techie, right? Like you can see my phone. I mean, it's old. I think it's the maybe the 15.
okay.
I just
Right now it is 50, 16. Yeah, 16, I guess.
maybe I've had it for a
16.
while. But
Yeah.
to your point, when you think about economics, right? I was
Yeah.
just listening. I saw this thing pop up on LinkedIn from another influencer, and her thing was every single touch point you should be able to create a wow moment. And to me, economically, that doesn't make sense though. There's going to be certain touch points that no matter what you do, that's not a touch point that's not even a high value touch point for your customer. So why go so far beyond on that specific touch point when it's not even valued by them?
Yeah, so touch points, as I mentioned, touch points are passive too. And wow factor is necessary. Not all touch points are same. Not all are equal. So to give the right weightage, active or passive, yes, wow element is definitely needed. That's how that consistency brings the perception to
Yeah,
the
spot
brand,
on. And I
right?
think that's why the economics behind each touch point is so important. So you can look at what's the active, what's the passive, and what should we prioritize. Your last one is think fast. And I really, really, really love this one. And I want to see where you go with it because the way that I think
Hmm.
about CX is CX has always, by design, has always been reactive. And that's why CX has always been behind. We're reacting to customer
Yeah,
feedback.
exactly.
And so when you think
Exactly.
about how fast consumers are moving, and you're now saying, in order to unfuck this, it's thinking fast.
Let me
So
explain that.
how
Yeah.
do you think fast?
Let me explain that. So I wrote a while ago about silent customers. So I mean there are signals in your data that can tell you that churn is coming, okay, or reduction in sales or whatever, like a negative impact on the business is coming in whatever way because of those silent customers. So my my mantra about think fast doesn't mean about speed, but also fast forward. So having your predictive analysis in place, okay, having because your data can tell you a lot of stories based on past data. And with AI's help, like even predictions are much easier and faster and possible. So considering all that, doing fast forward, detecting intent signals of the customer, as I mentioned in the beginning, showing the right content to the right audience at the right place. Okay, that is important. And that's what my point is about think fast. So we as business should understand our customers very well and segment them, personalize the customer experience with them, and then get that wow factor added to it, and then so that like churn can be reduced. Like it, customer experience, again, as I said, we keep coming back to the brand perception, we keep coming back to interacting with touch points as one business, not different teams. So uh, data should talk to each other between different systems. Okay, it should be combined, and different teams should have access to that, so that there are enough signals available to all teams. Like if as customer support comes into picture, for example, like that's where the most of use cases are about customer experience as a keyword. Customer call a customer support team, and then if they don't know how this customer have started their journey as a customer, and what products they're using or what problem they are facing, how many times they have called in before, like how the previous problem was solved, and like how what the satisfaction score is, and other areas as well. If all that data is not available, the person addressing that ticket will actually have to go through the entire detail, frustrating for customer, frustrating for rep, and then address that. So thinking fast means speed and fast forward, predict what can happen next. Yeah.
That makes a ton of sense. I was going to say, you've introduced a couple other topics in that could be unfucked, right? With data access and all those other things. I really appreciate you come into the hot seat. When you think about thinking holistic, where CX is a team sport, our customers don't see our teams; they see us as one brand. I love the whole piece around thinking economics of, look, there's active touch points and there's passive touch points, and you really have to prioritize the active ones because that brings the most value to customers. And then think fast, which is also fast forward. It's not just about response times, but it's just about how you're thinking forward to it. Again, Nav, brilliant. As always, I know that our listeners will get a lot of value out of your 3-player tips, and we'll bring you back to the hot seat soon.
Have a nice weekend, Zach. Thank you very much for the invite. It's lovely talking to you again.